My name is James Wu. I'm the founder and managing shareholder of Wu Castillo, PC. We are a Bay Area law firm that specializes in representing employers in their employment law needs, and we defend them when they are sued. And I've been practicing for about 20 years. So employers who want to just do a quick manual screening in-house, for example, having some staff person just try to do the social media background checking, are really at a disadvantage. First of all, they may not be aware of the legal requirements, likely they're not, and without being aware of them, they could open themselves up to class action exposure, which obviously is a bad thing, so they don't want to do that. One of the pitfalls of doing it internally or themselves is oftentimes they come across protected information. For example, someone's pregnancy or someone's disability. So for example, hiring managers or even lower level employees should not use subterfuge to try to friend a job applicant for the sole purpose of finding private information that's hidden from the general public. Using those kind of sort of deceptive methods really should be avoided by employers. They can only focus on what's public information. So companies must take steps to shield that type of information away from the hiring decision maker. Some methods of that include simply using a third-party vendor to conduct these social media background checks, and they will weed out this type of information. When companies are doing social media background screening, it is essential for them to be very candid and transparent with the job applicants. They must comply with the Fair Credit Reporting Act. Otherwise, the companies could be exposing themselves to multi-million-dollar class action lawsuits and other potential liability. But also job applicants should be allowed the opportunity to explain anything that the company feels is a negative factor and therefore decides not to hire that person because of that negative factor. Companies who use a social media background screening should not do that in isolation. And that simplistic notion actually gets a lot of companies in trouble. Social media background checks are not a silver bullet for evaluating potential employees, and they should be done in conjunction with other more traditional types of background checking, like criminal background checking, interviewing, and of course, reference checking. Companies who are not consistent in their criteria or their application of the criteria to social media background checks are definitely exposing themselves to potential liability. When conducting background checks via social media, they must set out a very consistent and precise criteria to make sure that they're really targeting or focusing on job-related factors. And of course, in all types of screening, you should avoid any discriminatory factors that may appear on these social media background checks. So general counsel at companies often don't know or can't anticipate what is going to happen with respect to the changes in the law on social media background screening. The technology and social media platforms are definitely outpacing the law. The law needs to catch up. So that would include folks who do employment law, for example, or Fair Credit Reporting Act law, as well as outside vendors who focus on the background checking via social media. The single most important takeaway for companies who wish to use social media background screening is to be consistent. They must have consistent criteria for evaluating job applicants. They must consistently involve job applicants in the process. And of course, they must be consistent in their compliance with the Fair Credit Reporting Act and state and local law.